welcome everyone to another adventure on Riding Through the Unknown. I'm your host, Michael, and tonight's guest, I think you all are going to have a lot of fun with. She is an amazing person with, and I don't mean person to make it sound like less than, but it's when you hear her background, you'll understand. And so she has a lot to share with us, and so I'm going to stop rambling and fumbling my words over this guest, and I'm going to turn it over to my amazing guest, the one, the only, experience extraordinaire, Madam Fiera.
Hello, everyone. I'm Madam Fiera. I'm a cosmic empath psychic witch medium and long distance spiritual healer and spiritual advisor.
Very cool. And so, how did all of this start for you? Like, what was your awakening moment like?
Okay, so I was 5 years old and we had just moved to Rhode Island. It was my 5th birthday. It was the day right after it. I was watching this show called Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. That's really dating myself. I was so focused on it. There was a character there played by Rip Taylor, the comedian.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just sitting there watching intently. All of a sudden, I see this face. Rip Taylor's character actually just came out of the television screen and came right up to me. And then it just kind of turned into this being, a light being, who now is my Andromedan mentor named Madar. And I did not speak any English whatsoever. I spoke Portuguese and French fluently. And so it was just weird because I was understanding everything he said and we were speaking telepathically. I didn't know I could do that. But the minute that he came to me is what woke me up back to who I was, the Andromedan Grays hybrid. Just a lot of information started flooding to me, and it's just crazy. Because I mean, I was only 5, and I'm just like sitting there, and just like it was like he was my long lost friend. It's like we picked up where we left off, kind of thing, and it's great, a lot of overwhelming feelings, but I didn't flinch. I did not blink an eye. I just listened to everything he had to say, and he was telling me all about my spiritual talents and what my mission is, my purpose, and stuff like that.
So I'm curious, and I feel like I would be miffed if I didn't ask this. At 5 years old, finding out your mission is to be like an ambassador, how do you process that, and what does that do to you?
How did I process it? I just took it all in, and it's like, okay, I'm ready. I'm just like, I was guided by my spirit guides. I think my whole life, since I was born, it all started in Canada. And my parents would just leave me there. There were no laws that you couldn't leave your kids alone or anything. They went to work, and I was left in a playpen. And the woman from upstairs said that she used to come down and look in on me and see how I was doing. And then we'd go back upstairs, and I'd be there for hours. I'm like, really? You find this stuff out when you're older. And so my guides were always like watching over me. But during that time, the Greys were around. A lot more UFO sightings in the 1950s, 1960s. I do remember the spacecraft I went on. And they took me, and I remember screaming. It was a traumatic experience for me. And they put a tracker in my brain and a tracker in my spine. And that was later found as an adult in MRIs that I had done because I had injured my back at work so much.
So is it still in you, or did they remove
Yeah.
it?
No, no, they never removed it. It's too risky to do any kind of surgery. They won't do any surgeries on me at all. Not even a total knee replacement that I need. That's why I had to retire at a younger age. But
So do you think having this experience when you were 5 really like opened you up in the fact that you were left on your own? Is that why you think that this experience was more like open and more like friendly terms, that you didn't question it as much because it's like, hey, at least there's someone here that wants to hang out, versus having somebody there and be like, who are you and why are you bothering me, kind of thought?
well, yeah, I was led by divine guidance my whole life. I never lost my spiritual sight. I have been seeing in 3D, 5D, or whatever form they want to show themselves. And, I would see my angels all the time, all of my spirit guides, ancestral guides. They would just come around me all the time and just tell me what to do and make sure that I was safe, stuff like that. Until my brother was born, then it's like I was left with him too. Wash him, dry him, feed him, and prick my fingers on the safety pins and dress them and put them on my back and run a mile with them on my back and my backpack and drop them off to my grandmother's, and then I would run to school every day. We didn't have snow days back then or anything. That's just the way it was. But I always, like, if I felt like I was in trouble, if I was lost or whatever, I didn't have to go anywhere. I would just talk out loud. They hear me. They show up in front of me every night. They gather around me. And if, like, lately I've been having a lot more pain in my spine, so they come down and they just kind of do their little healing on me while I sleep. They even help me fall asleep, which is great.
That's really cool. And my experience with being awakened at a young age, school kind of was like a 50-50, depending on the day, what, of how interactions were going to be. What did you have the same thing where kids would tease you or kind of look at you differently, or did they just accept you as you are and that was that?
Some of them could see me as my alien self, the Andromedan Greys hybrid. I've noticed that because they would stay away. They were afraid of me. A lot of babies do see me because they still have their spiritual sight. Or I'll see the ones that, they want to reach out to me. They'll wave. They'll come up to me and talk to me, and they're not afraid of me because they themselves are probably star seeds. So, yeah, I was bullied and teased for things that I said, and thought I was crazy, and sometimes I had to prove myself, or I would just shut myself off from anybody. I remember junior high and high school, I was very quiet. I wouldn't talk to anybody because they thought I was a quack.
Yeah, that seems to be a common thing for a lot of the star seeds that I talk with, is like me especially. It's like high school. Yeah, we kind of had to shut ourselves down just to survive.
Yes. Um, I really never cared what they thought. I just hung out with myself. I'm more of an outdoorsy person, so a lot of times my grandmother that was living upstairs, she would catch me outside, and I'd be making some magic potions and stuff like that all on my own. Like, just it all came back from prior incarnations, and even being, a hereditary witch. Like, it was in me anyway, inherited from my maternal grandmother, who came through my youngest granddaughter, Harley Rose, and that's a whole nother story by itself, because she had asked me to check in with my daughter, my youngest daughter, Jocelyn, and to see if that was okay, because she tried going into her, but she's a free spirit, didn't want nothing to do with it. But then so 3 months before Harley Rose was born, she appeared to me along with Madar. They came together and they told me, first of all, you need to combine the two of us. You need to have your spirituality with your pagan Wicca. We need that to work. We need the balance. We need that yin and yang, I said, yeah, I can handle that. I can make it work. Because normally when I'm teaching people or training people in pagan Wicca or whatever, I'll get some people that were former Catholics or they're Presbyterian or some other religion, where I just kind of conform it all, change it so that I can relate more to them. And I don't push religion, but I work with it, because I've always had an interest in different religions. I like to see how the human collective is in those particular situations or their education. Once in a while you'll have this one woman just stopped at our house like a couple days ago, and my granddaughter's looking at me like, why are they here in front of our house? I don't know them. Do you know? I don't know them. They came right up to me with their paper, like Jesus loves you kind of stuff. I'm like, no, thank you. I'm pagan Wiccan. Have you read the Bible? I said, well, do you know who wrote the Bible? The Bibles, the original Bible was made by the mystics, the seers, the psychics. That's who wrote those. And it's been changed a million times. So
Yeah. Yeah, and it's been, they borrowed a lot from the pagans. You can still see it in a lot of their writings, and it's like, yeah, I don't know why you hate the pagans, because you pretty much based your religion on them, but okay.
Definitely, yes. 440 BC, yes, they did. There were it was a whole coliseum of these Roman men that were voted in, and 100 men that actually had to pick and choose what they wanted to take from us, our Esbats, our Sabbats, our holidays and stuff. They've taken the rituals of ringing the bell and the incense and all that stuff, and the singing, of course, chanting. I mean, they just changed the names. So, oh yeah, and I was talking about Harley Rose that 3 months before, but like sometimes I get sidetracked. So when my daughter was in the labor room, and my grandmother popped up again, and she's like, ask Jocelyn if she's ready for this. Is she ready for me to come into the baby? And then I asked my daughter, and she said yes. So all of a sudden, the doctor comes running in, and the nurses, I don't know if they saw something on monitors out in the hallway or whatever. And then the doctor says, all right, Jocelyn, you ready for this baby? And she says, yes, let's do it. And then he put his hand out, and the baby already had her head out. So it took her like about 2 pushes, and she got her right out. Wow. And like we were all excited and crying and everything. And when I held that baby, I was in the labor room with her. She grabbed onto my crystals. She grabbed onto them, letting me know she's confirming and validating it is her. It's really my grandmother. You know what I mean? And every single time, like they were living here for a little bit. And every time I held her or watched her, whatever, again, she'd grab on just to let me know, hey, I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere, which is great. And if you talk to her today at 2 years old, she has a little Portuguese accent to her. She'll say, she reminds me of my mother with broken English, that you pick it up on me kind of thing. It's the cutest little thing. She's super, super advanced. I knew that she would be. She was a pagan gypsy witch, and she had a PhD. She was a doctor. She traveled around different countries, and she gave away all her kids to family and friends. And like I had a hell of a time trying to find them, the family, because I didn't have the right last names, surnames, whatever. So it's like I keep digging because my mother, I don't know, she didn't want me to have that connection. And my mother and I were disconnected, sort of like, but we would watch out for each other, give each other like a care package or whatever kind of thing. But, she never said she loved me or anything like that, but would express those feelings with my kids or grandkids. It was a different time. I think it was just because she was raised that way without the love. She was pulled out of school at 9 years old and put into the fields to work. And she was raised by her godmother from birth. So I didn't really get to know her godmother or anything. I met my grandmother one time. She wanted me, she always wanted to connect with me. She wanted me to know who she was. So when I met her, I just looked at her and she looked at me and we smiled because we could read each other's energy. I knew who she was. I knew all about her and she knew all about me. She knew I was gifted. And every time she tried to get close to me, my mother wouldn't allow that. She would step in. Later, after my mom passed away, going on 13 years this year, well, back then, right after the funeral, it's like I was going through her paperwork, her box of letters and things, and I found the picture from my grandmother. And on the back in Portuguese writing, it says that this is a remembrance of me. I wanted you to know who I was, kind of thing. I'm like, well, funny you should say that because I've always known who you were and what you were about.
Yeah.
It's just crazy the different things that happen to us along our, you would think, even growing up as a child, I always thought that everybody else had the same gifts as I did, that, we were all very magical. But, the more I talked to the kids, and I was like a tomboy for a while, and they liked hanging out, and they would teach me to speak English and stuff like that. And, oh, yeah, those were the good old days. I actually, I had a very, a soprano voice. And when I sang, I was in the chorus at 5 years old, and I got to sing at Rhode Island College. I had to do a solo by myself on My Country 'Tis of Thee, which was pretty cool. It didn't bother me then to be in front of an audience for some reason. I don't know, it must be the Leo in me. um, yeah, I don't know. Things just change so fast. Time is going by way too fast. In a blink of an eye, here it is. It's like almost Friday again. It's like, where did this week go? Like,
I
was I
know.
that busy? Like, I'm home. I'm not even working, and the time is just flying by. And then I start to think back. This is it. This is what Madar was talking about all along. This is the pinnacle point of your life. So things have to speed up a little bit faster. All this stuff going on with the UFOs, the UAPs, the reptilians. I had to battle them a couple times, and it's not easy. It really isn't. After 50 years, I had gotten this an Andromedan golden shield given to me by my Andromedan family, and so I make sure that it's on me when I lay down to go to sleep. It's spiritual, obviously.
Right.
But I picture myself as fully having it on And that energy of white light, you always have to protect yourself. I do have crystals around in the rooms and stuff, and just for extra protection. I mean, whatever beings pop up, they will try to attack. People like me, psychic mediums especially, they like to go after them. They know how to push your buttons. They know how to make you freak out, and they'll just take advantage of that, especially when you try to trance.
Right.
Right.
So
Um,
I have a curious question around Madar, and that is, you talk about him being a mentor and that he's always been around and guiding you. Is he soul family? Like, is he related through your Andromedan blood or
yes.
energy?
At,
Okay.
well, he's told me at about 4 million years ago. This is my last mission, and I've been around that long. Many, many, many incarnations, timelines, etc., etc. I was supposedly his wife. And so we've always had that love connection, so he's always been around.
Okay.
Every time I passed over, like I've done past life teachings in the past with some of my I had a coven back in the day in my 20s. So we've done a lot of that kind of work too, and the shadow work, and I helped them with different things. But I started to remember when you're spiritually awakening, though, at that, at a very young age, it seems like you keep getting the flashbacks, like especially with a remote. I'm a remote viewer as well. Being clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, all of that, and so that does help too. I mean, you could do a lot of things with remote viewing, but a lot of times I'll just be laying there when I can't fall asleep. I start seeing the different images of me. I remember being a male for 5 times, and pieces of that pop up too. And sometimes even when I'm doing those, making those AI videos through Meta, sometimes it'll make me a man again. It'll give me the glimpses of what I was, who I was. It's the weirdest thing. So I have to keep going in there and describing myself all over again so they can make me the way I am now to put it in the appropriate video. But, it's just weird how those random pictures of people, of men, just pop up around, you know. I'm like, oh, okay. I understand now why this is happening. They need me to see it. Every time they want me to learn a lesson from something, I have to experience it first, and then it becomes a channeled message. And that's what I've been doing on LinkedIn for 4.5 years now. And I used to use I would just bring a lot of pictures and just type the whole channeled messages about those pictures. And so I'm teaching through the picture, almost like a Rosetta Stone kind of thing, where you see it's a word picture association. So you're learning the language a little bit faster. Well, that's what they do with me. And so then I started making these videos. I would just type in what it was, what happened, or what they did to me that would bring about this other picture and turn it into a video, which is also helpful. Yeah, my last one was about manifestation and how I just, your brain only believes in the now. So it doesn't matter if it's true or not. You keep telling yourself, I am rich now. I am full of abundance now. I'm a very successful businessman or whatever. It can be anything. And just keep telling yourself out loud. I do this during showers. It's a lot easier to remember to do that. And your brain believes it. So it brings it to you. You're getting that divine connection from the universe. The universe always has your back, and it's always going to put you in that right path, and your guides are going to keep you on the right path. And then we get into numerology, that kind of thing. You'll see it. I don't know. I don't think that everybody's spiritually awakened yet. But one way to find out or to realize when the doctor would say you have tinnitus, the ringing in the ear, constant ringing, but it's not like that where it's on and off. You'll hear a high pitched frequency sound in one of your ears, and it's always the same ear, and it's usually the left ear, unless you have like some kind of hearing problem in that ear. But that's the way that our angels communicate with us, and also through the synchronicity of numbers on license plates, bulletin boards, on receipts, anywhere you can find numbers. That's your spiritual message. They all numbers have meanings, and you can easily look that up on Google search and all that. Until you get to know the numbers really well. But, that's a whole other topic.
It's interesting you talk about the tone because yesterday there was like 2 or 3 times during the day I would hear this tone in one ear, and I would look because I have 2 dogs living with me, and they would not be acting like they're hearing anything or not responding at all. But I'm like, I'm hearing this tone and trying to figure out where it's coming from because I'm like, it's not a like beep beep. I mean, it was a long tone for like a minute or two, and I was like, how are you guys not hearing this? And why are you not reacting to this? It's like I'm hearing this, and you supposedly have better hearing than I do.
Yep. But you can know it's your angels trying to communicate with you. And what's good to do is have a notebook nearby or a dream journal, whatever you keep, and just write down the exact time that you hear it. That's your spiritual message right there. Those numbers.
I never thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought it was trying to get my attention, and so then I would say, "Now you have my attention," and I'd be like, "Well, what's the message?" and just wait to hear it.
Because they deal strictly with numbers, they can't show it to you any other way. It would be your other guides that would pop in with maybe images in your head if you're able to see them at all. Some kids never lose their spiritual sight. And I say, yeah, if you don't use it, you do lose it. After 10 years old, that's what it seems like, with all the kids that I've spoken to, and my kids and family and all. So,
Yeah.
yeah, they're always trying to get a hold of your attention somehow. So they might pop up. You might be seeing these cars with these plates, and they'll still say the same numbers in front of you. You'll see 555 a million times a day, or 111, kind of thing. Well, the fives pop up a lot because that's like a lot of um, grandeur, kind of like transformations, all this greatness coming to you, all these wonderful opportunities, and a lot of changes in your life. That'll pop up a lot. When you see all the ones, a lot of people talk about the 1111, which is, the twin flames, but it also has to do with opportunities, new careers, new jobs, new home, new travel, anything new, exciting news, leadership, they have very specific meanings to each number.
That's really cool. And I know we talked about this a little bit ago, and it was in the middle of a story, so I didn't want to interrupt the story. But what was it like battling the reptilians?
Um, it was, I thought it was going to be harder than it was because I'm fighting off these, well, they have demonic presence, and they came at me. And at one point, let's see, back in 2018, I was having an EEG EKG done to see if I had paroxysmal AFib. And so I was hooked up to I have all these wires on my head, and I had a little box that kept track of my heart and everything. And I believe that's the first time I really battled them. I was actually, this office was where my bedroom was, and they had a lot of cameras on me. They were watching for that, any other like seizures or whatever. So I had to wear it for 3 days. On the third day, I was attacked. So there were these five dark demonic presence, and I did tend to see the reptilian features. And one of them said to me, "This is the day you're going to die. You're going to die right now, today." And as soon as I heard that, I started yanking all the wires off me. I was trying to pull, and at the same time, I was yanked and thrown back into my bed. So my spirit team, it was my mother mostly, and my spirit team were around, and they just pulled me out and they disappeared. And I woke up, and it was so weird. I don't know how to explain this, because it's like somebody snapped their fingers. I was still in the same room. I didn't go anywhere. And like I'm looking at myself, I'm pushing the button on the little monitor, a little machine thing on me. And I was just letting them know that something happened and I didn't know what was going on. But when they resulted that, it went onto a DVD, which I'm still trying to get my hands on. Mind you, we're in 2026. I asked my neurologist for this. And he said it showed up as 5 full-blown seizures. That's what it showed up as. I was having grand mal seizures. Meanwhile, I know what was really happening. I was being attacked. And if it weren't for my spirit team and Madar, oh my God, I don't know where I'd be today. Probably not talking to you, everybody, you know. That's freaky, but it's stuff like that. And they tried again to get to me, probably earlier this year. Yeah, it was in January. And they just kind of, the closer they got to me, the stronger I was. So they kind of started backing off. It's been about 4 times now that the Greys have come through the house again. Since like middle of last year, they come through a lot. And every time they do, I put my hand up and I say no, because I'm not ready for this. I don't want it to happen again. I start thinking back to when I was traumatized as a baby, and I just say no. But at one point, there were the little ones that came. There were 3. And when I did stop them, then I started getting a rush of information. It's like, those were your kids. I had miscarriages, and at one they took them. They put me through this trance or some kind of thing where they just had to put me out, put me to sleep, and they took it from me. So those were the children that were coming back to see their mother. Crazy as it sounds, that's happened to a lot of people that have been the abductions, by the Greys.
Actually, it doesn't sound crazy to me at all.
Yeah.
I've had a guest that she wrote a book about how she would be pregnant and a few months into it go and go for her checkup, and they're like, "Why are you here? You're not pregnant anymore.
Exactly.
You don't even show you were ever pregnant."
Yeah,
And
that's crazy. Yeah, it's just unbelievable. I don't even know why they do that, but I know they're working on adding to their race because they don't have a soul. So that's why they're a dying breed. So that's why they take the humans so much. Even the hybrids. I think at some point they just stopped. They would take me and they'd look at me and just return me right away because they realize I'm a half and half breed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though I got my tracker on me, they know. And even if you look outside my house, you'll see up in the sky, you'll see there's about like, I don't know, I counted about 18 of them the other day, but they're in triangular form. They just, you know, 3 in a row of UAPs and they're all around the house. That's a protection sign, the triangles, especially in palmistry. But I know that they're out there. I'm always doing the videos too and posting them. And you know, they don't want me to do videos, but I want the human collective to see what's really happening. I need them to believe this. I need them to see this. You know, 'cause I know the scientists don't really believe in that. Doctors too. Um, they're still saying no. We don't have any. There's no such thing. You know, but I know. I know the truth.
Right.
I speak the truth.
All right. And so, does Madar introduce you to other beings out there, or?
Yes. Well, there's a natural portal here coming through the roof, through my office and down into the closet behind me. I have met tons of them. They they had told me I was a multi-dimensional interpreter, and I have gone before the Galactic Federation, and I know I'm an ambassador for them. And he takes me up there once in a while, and so I'll get to meet the different kinds of beings. And I know I accidentally kind of pissed off one of them that came in one time. And because I didn't really believe it was an alien at first. Like, I'm like, I'm not drunk. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do anything. Like, why am I seeing him? Like, you know what I mean? Like, here in my closet, like, of all the places. And it just made this weird face. And I said, hey, you're really kind of cute, though. Where are you from? Are you from like I just like, you know, goofing off, trying to see what I can kind of
Oh my god!
know.
I'm
And
just picturing an ambassador hitting on a representative.
I'm just playing around. And I'm like, are you from like Pluto or someone somewhere? Like, uh, no. He made this really weird face at me. Like, he's from Neptune. And then he disappeared.
Oh, I was going to say Arcturian. It sounds like the way the Arcturians might respond.
Yeah, oh no, oh yeah, that's another story. Yeah. Um, I did meet the Arcturians before back in 2018. So if you've ever heard of Lori Ladd or Phil Good,
Yeah, the name, sounds really familiar.
yeah, they are ambassadors for the Arcturians. They're constantly conveying their messages and everything. So Lori Ladd has this website, and at the bottom of the website, she had this meditation thing, and it said "Meet the Arcturians." I'm like, oh, that's cool. That sounds like fun. Let me do that. Let me see if they really show up. So I turn on my laptop. I download the meditation. I'm like, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if this is real. And I'm laying there, and she guides you into it. And then all of a sudden, I see them. I'm like, is this for real? They're like 8 to 9 feet tall. They're so loving and compassionate. Like, you can feel that energy is super loving. And they started doing healings on me, and they're touching me, putting their hands on me, doing these healings. And I was just like in awe. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. I can't even describe to you that feeling. It's just, you know, love is just so overwhelming when you get it in high doses. You know what I mean? It's
Oh, yeah.
like, you know, here I am. I never thought that could have happened, but it was real. It was all real. I'm like, this woman is not a fake. you know, and it's just amazing just to meet them. And when it was over and the meditation ended and then my screen went blank, all of a sudden, Madar comes running in. He bolts down the hallway and he told me, "You're not Arcturian." He had never told me I was Andromedan until that year. And I just sat there and I cried. I'm like, "I'm Andromedan? Oh my God, like, why didn't you tell me?" He said, "Because you're not listening. You're not listening." Because back in when the day that he woke me up spiritually, like I said, "What do I call you? How do I get your attention?" It's like, "Call me the Sandman." That's what he said. So every
Yeah,
time I heard that, the Sandman and that song, Mr. Sandman, Bring Me a Dream, that,
right.
I'm like, oh, that's where they get it from. It was just, I'm like, oh my God, this is great. I'm Andromedan and Grace. Hey, this is amazing. I had to do some more posts about that, but I was on other social media, and people thought I was wacky. I even got into the other, the IMVU, Second Life. Those ones
Oh
where
yeah,
you get the different avatars. They're cartoony, and I tried to reach out to people. Ask if they wanted me to do a reading. They're like, they take off because they think I'm going to charge money. I was doing everything for free for 50 years. I never charged anything. The only thing I charge for now is when I'm doing my full palm readings, all lines, which I actually have my daughter's my daughter Jocelyn's book. And I do
oh
like
wow.
I put a lot of pictures in it, and like I just kind of incorporate everything with her reading, what it's showing me. And she is a star seed also. Not everyone is star seeds. You could have one child that is and the other three aren't, but all of my children are, thank God. Same thing with Aubrey, her older daughter. It's like I put a lot of. They're all very special. I always ask my clients what colors they like, what the themes they like. I get a lot of requests for fairies and things like that. Anything magical.
I
Yeah.
find it interesting, because I learned tarot when I was a teenager and I was able to get it. And I learned some other healing modalities at the same time. And when it came to palm reading, I took a course in it, and about the only thing I could remember is, yeah, if you have an M on your hand, that means this. But other than that, it was like I have no idea what these lines mean. It just I could not take to it, and I was like, I always thought that was interesting that palm reading was like the only seemed modality that I could not grasp.
Well, it is kind of hard. It takes about 8 years to master. I've been doing it since I was 5 years old, and I still don't call myself a master in anything because we're constantly always learning. No two lines are alike, like snowflakes, and situations change everything. Like you'll have like your dominant hand is what you were born with, it's your destiny. And the passive hand, the opposite hand, obviously, are all the changes that you've made in your life. So I can see that stuff, especially, when you get into spiritual markings and the starseed markings too. They're all very um, individualized. So what was I going to say about that? They do
Well,
show up. They show up in your palms. They show up on your body.
yeah, I do find it interesting. It's like the M on my right hand, I had to subtract two lines to see the M. It actually looks like two triangles touching each other, and I'm like, oh, if you remove these lines, yeah, there's the M. And I'm
Right.
like, so I got an M on both hands, but I never thought about what those two triangles mean in the middle of my hand.
Right. And I'd have to look at it again to see, because you could be a very gifted person yourself. And, the lines are, like I said, the lines are always changing. It could be a little circle on there, it could be triangles, squares for protection, special gifts. You'll see little stars. They're like the asterisk. There's just so much to learn. You can't just look at a book and say, okay, I know it. No, you
Right.
don't know it. My oldest daughter tends to call me once in a while. It's like, Ma, can you look at my friend's palm? I'm like, well, you know what? I'm charging for that now. It did when I make an appointment. But they go by pictures. I'll take pictures of their palms and then I'll do the reading. And sometimes they want it emailed, which is a lot quicker. But if they want the book form, it could take 1 to 2 weeks, depending on how many lines are there.
Right.
Everything shows up in your palms first. I've seen so many, like 43 years of doing paralegal work and my nursing work. And I would always look at my patients' lines and I'd see, like, if they had a certain disease. Like, I've picked up lung disease in one of the nurses I worked with. And she's looking at me like, lung disease, really? I said, yeah. And especially look at the clubbing in your nails. So she went to her doctor. Sure enough, it was the beginning of lung disease. And she was away for so long. I think she was out for like a year. And then when I saw her back again, I looked at her hand again. It was like perfectly normal, the way it should have been. And it's just so wild that, everything is represented by your body, your thoughts, your dreams, like
Right.
challenges, everything. Even if you've gone to jail, like, I noticed the littlest things, and then people will ask me very specific questions, like, should I do this? Should I go there? Should I travel? Shall I take this job? I'm like, well, let me look at your hands. I can answer you that way, or I can just tell you psychically what I see, kind of thing. I love scrying. That's like my favorite thing too. Like, I have crystal ball. I do
Mirror.
leaves, and I can scry with the mirror, water, ink, fire. Done a lot of different things. Yeah. The one thing about scrying is pretty cool that children all seem to do it because you look up at the sky, you're looking at the clouds, and they look like something. They look like a face or animal or whatever. That's all scrying. That's been around for thousands and thousands of years.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, same thing with palm readings. Uh, it's been around for about 4,000. Well, yeah, over 3,000 years. The Hindu Indians, people would come to see specific people. They didn't have doctors around then. It's just these men. I guess there were psychic mediums too. Um, but they were spiritually talented. They knew how to read the lines on the hands, and people would go there to see, hey, what can I do? How can I get better? How can I heal from this? So they'd either, do spiritual healings on them, or they would give them different tinctures or scrubs or whatever to do, or soaps, that they made back then. But that's how it all started, really, just looking into hands. I'll have some people that are very, very Catholic, Christian, and they won't let me look at their hand. They say it's in the Bible, it's bad, it's witchcraft, it's this, it's that. I'm like, well, it's been around for thousands of years. I don't, you know, you don't want me to see it? That's fine. That's okay.
Yeah. One thing I will say though that I find interesting is like if you hold the hand where it's like kind of like you're holding a cup, like cupping motion, there are certain lines that'll start to appear, and then when you hold the palm flat, those disappear, and it's like, oh. And so, do those count as lines or
Yes, they do.
okay?
Especially if you put your two hands together and you'll see a big These lines connect, that whole line.
I was
Yeah, it's a whole other set of talents because I have to look at every tiny little line that connects to those specific lines that'll have a different meaning for someone else. You know what I mean? Like I said, no two lines are alike.
So when you say like putting the hands together and you can see the lines connect and everything, and it's like holding a book. I've often heard that expression, I can read you like a book. Is that where that comes from?
I believe so. I've heard that too. Definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of information in books on palm readings, but I think when you get into the nitty gritty of it, you can't put it all down there. But they start off with teaching you with curvatures, squares, the different symbols and things like that, and how you put it together, how you read it. Yeah, but it does take a lot of practice though. It can be draining at times too, if everybody wants it done at the same time, but just I'm like, here, take a number. Let me write you down my book. Next.
Yeah. Now, when you talk about scrying, I've experienced mirror ball and the mirror, or crystal ball, I mean, and mirror. I get that, and I'm imagining fire is when you're looking at the flames and you can see stuff in the flames. I've done that. But
Mhm.
water, I've never heard of scrying with water.
That's how I tell people to do this first before they decide to invest in a big old crystal ball, where they would take a lead crystal cup and fill it 3/4 of the way up with water. Light a little tea light candle or regular candle, whatever you want. I usually say a white candle for peace. And so you're basically, this is how they would train. They would look into the water every day, spend like, up to 20 minutes just gazing at the water. You never want to stare at the water. You could say a prayer or something, while you're doing it, whatever. But you just think of something, ask a question. And eventually, when you get really good at it, you're going to see clouds in there in the water. And you'll ask a question. It'll either come up for positive or negative, and it's going to go back down, or it'll stay neutral in the middle, meaning it's a maybe. But it all starts with that. You want to practice on something like that before you go gazing into a big old expensive crystal ball. Water is probably the easiest thing to work with.
Yeah, I find that, interesting because, like, I was at a fire pit at a conference last July, and we all were sitting there and just like we're chatting, and all suddenly a couple of us were like, "Hey, look! It looks like there's a guy dancing in the fire. Oh, look! There's this in the fire." And we were like instantly like looking at the fire and going, "Oh!" And we even were like recording it on our phones and going, "Look at this! You could see this on the phone. Look at what it picked up. That there's this, and that." And we're like, and I never thought of it as scrying. I just thought we were just seeing stuff in the flames.
And the more you work with that, then you start to eventually see like your spirit guides, spirit animals, all different animals pop up. They're giving you their specific spiritual message through that. So that's what I tend to do a lot when I get into the psychic medium stuff. I'll also look into a flame or whatever my guides are telling me. Hey, check their palms. Look at the water. Look at the mirror. Do this, do that. They're constantly in my ear telling me what to do and what to say. We are all vessels.
Right.
We're born that way. We're born to hear and see and do, but a lot of people just shut everything off.
And the other method that I've had somebody on and they kind of talked about, but I still have a hard time wrapping my head around is reading the tea leaves, because it's like I've heard the process where you put a little bit of water in and you put the leaves in and then you
You make the
drink and
tea.
you
You don't
flip
have to
and
drink it.
and how the leaves lay is a message, and I'm like, it's a clump. What? Just what? It's like that's all I see is a clump here and a clump there. Okay.
But it's the process of it where you're turning the cup 3 times around, and you're making sure that the water is seeped out, down to just a tiny bit left. They can either drink it or not drink it. A lot of times, I used to do it with the law firm I was at back in the day, Chandler Beals, and just it was one Halloween night, which we call Samhain in my pagan Halloween, and I made tea for everybody, and we just kind of went around, and they would sit there talking about whatever case popped up or whatever their wish was or what they wanted to know, and then I'd just go around and read it. But as you know, it was fun because those images do pop up, and that's another thing you'd have to practice with too. Learn the images. There are so many of them. At some point, there's just too many to try to remember. So you have to find a way for your brain to process it just by gazing at it, and maybe write down what you saw and then try to figure out what it was trying to tell you.
Right.
Everything takes practice.
Yeah. Oh, I understand that, and it's yeah. I think that was probably my downfall was like Reiki energy. I had a natural gravitation towards and could easily use it, and other modalities like visualizations I could get behind, and I think that's why I was able to do tarot easily. Is like I could visually see, and it's like, oh yeah, I get this. Okay, yeah, I see what this card is saying and how it translates. But then it was like palmistry. I was like, nope, it's not really natural coming to me. So yeah, that's probably why I was like, yeah, this isn't for me. Because I was like, I was in that mode of if it ain't easy, I ain't doing.
Yeah, you have to really want to devote yourself to it. It's definitely its own religion, kind of thing. You got to really be devoted
Yeah.
to
Do
learning.
I'm kind of curious, talking about like star seeds, hybrids, and little attributes like that come through. I wonder at times, how like I can pick up dowsing rods and they will work right away for me. And then I'll see people will pick them up and they're struggling to get them to respond.
Yeah, I don't
And
use them at all.
or, like tarot, reading the tarot or, other things. I often wonder if that those devices register, hey, your star seed, okay, we connect, we're done, we're good right away.
Um, I wouldn't say that. There's a lot of spiritual people that have a higher frequency, so they're able to use these things. But like I said, yeah, not everybody's a star seed. And star seeds are from other planetary systems, star systems, other galaxies, and there are a lot of earthborn star seeds that I've run into too. But the Andromedans, there's only 1% of us here on Earth, and we just keep coming back. But like I said, this is my last mission. So whatever I do now in this lifetime, it has to count. And yeah, Octurians is only like, I believe it's 3%, but I seem to find tons of other different ones, and it's just like, oh, it's wild. These are people that definitely stick out. When you see them, their energy gives off that starseed image. Just the way they handle themselves, the way they talk to people. Just, yeah, I could tell you other stories, but that'd be going on forever about them. There's too many different breeds.
No, yeah, no, I get that. And I was just curious if it was like something in the energy that they easily use certain devices just because of the energy versus having that doubt. It's like something in you overrides that doubt.
Definitely, it's your vibration. Definitely your vibration. What I've noticed is people that smoke, drink, that have bad habits, they have very low vibrational frequencies. They can't make anything work. That dowsing rod would not work for them at all. I say it's
Yeah.
definitely the vibration. You have to be at the highest vibrational frequency.
And I find it kind of interesting because like I'm a hybrid. I know I am. I got different star seed in me, but it's like I hear people like say like, oh, if you drink, you can't do this, and I'm like, and so I'll be like, really, and I'll go and I'll have like a dark beer, and I'm like, and I'll go to use it, and I'm like, it seems to be working just fine, and I'm like,
You're
okay,
not a
but
drunk. You're
then
not like you're not a drunk or anything.
no,
All right. Maybe
yeah,
a glass of wine once in a while or a beer here and there, but not, these people that are doing it every day, all day long,
yeah.
really abusing
Well,
it.
I found out in talking to a medium that I was like, they were channeling my guides, and I was like, I asked him, I was like, how come I can sit there and have like 3 beers that are really high volume alcohol and feel like all I've had is water? And then they go, well, we don't want you drunk. We don't want you affected by the alcohol, so you're not affected by it. I was like, oh. I was like, well, in that case, I'll just random. I rarely drink now because I'm like, well, there's no point. I was like, if I'm never gonna experience this, why put a lot of money into it? It's like I'll have one here and I'll have one there, but yeah, and so, but I think it's also though my mindset is I'm not the type of mindset of going, oh, so you're going to tell me you're going to keep me from, so let me get a 12 pack and down it all at once and prove how good you really are. I'm like, no, I just am like, well, thank you for that. Okay. And move on.
And your guides are still going to pop up behind you. They're still going to want to give us their message to
Yeah.
pass on to you, kind of thing. Just because you drank doesn't mean they're not going to come out. They're going to say something. They might give you a warning or something.
Or
But
like a
they're
look.
always around. They don't go away. This that is heaven. It's heaven's just you know they say it's a planet, the planet of love. I've written a post about that before, but I say like Sylvia Brown used to say, yeah, it's heaven's only 3 feet high. And, as a psychic medium, you notice that it seems that they are about 3 feet high when you're looking at that spirit that comes through. They're always floating.
Yeah.
And so that's why they say that a lot. But definitely, if there's a problem, like even my husband actually had his hip surgery and he had physical therapy come in, and one of the woman that came in, she was just sitting there going over things, and then I just kind of mentioned, "Oh, excuse me for a second. I just wanted to mention your father has a message for you." And she sat there and she cried. And I was just telling her how proud he was of her for what she was doing and the degrees she's gotten and how she's helping people. And he saw that I could see him. That's why he did that. He brought it to my
All right.
attention. Just, get her attention, let her know. There's a lot of crazy things that have happened to me. Oh my God. Like, even like, I hate being interrupted when I'm doing something. Like, I was outside mowing the lawn years ago, and that's one of my stress relievers. I like pushing the lawnmower. And my daughter's first love, one of my daughters, I have 3 daughters, one son, and it was her first love, and he popped up in front of me, and it's like, hey, I need to get Alyssa's attention. She's hearing me, but she's not listening, or she's listening, or she's not hearing me, kind of thing.
Right.
I was just looking at him like, can't you see I'm mowing the lawn? I don't want to stop right now. Please, please, please. I need to talk to her. She needs to hear me. I'm like, really? Really? Right now? Right in the middle of all of this? Like, do you understand how this affects me emotionally? And like, I hate it, can't stand it. And then he just started telling me all these intimate things. And my jaw dropped. I'm like, are you kidding me? Okay. All right. All right. Since you're not
You
going to
realize
stop,
you're talking to Mama Bear. You
I
sure you
text
want to
my
be going
daughter.
there?
Yeah. I text my daughter. I told her everything that he said. And he's like, oh my God, really? He really wants to talk to me that bad? I'm like, yeah. He knows that I can see him. So he had to come bug me while I was cutting the grass. So a couple days went by. She calls me, Ma, I found the perfect way to connect with Ryan. And this is great. It works. I'm like, okay, what is it? Pandora. I'm like, you're kidding. Pandora. I've never used Pandora for anything. I'm more of a Spotify girl. I love Spotify. But I'm like, yeah, how do you do that? It's like, well, I ask him a question and I turn it on. I'll ask him to respond to me. And he picks up a song. A song pops up. The lyrics pop up. And it's exactly what he's trying to tell me. I'm like, really? It's just like, yeah, all day long we talk like this. I'll say, Ryan, okay, well, what else is going on? How are you doing out there? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
This music keeps popping up. These lyrics keep popping up. I'm like, yeah, all right, fine. Sure, whatever you say. All right, I gotta go. We'll talk later. And so there I am. I'm listening to heavy metal. That's the only thing I ever listen to most of the time, 99% of the time. And I was doing dishes and I had the music on. All of a sudden, this song comes on next. It was called Madre Naturale, which is Spanish for natural mother. And I started crying because that's my mother coming through. She's letting me know that, yes, it does work. We'll come up through any which means we have just to get your attention, just like the
Mhm.
angels, bringing out those high pitched frequency sounds in your ear. It's like, wake up. We've been trying to communicate with you for a long time, and we're going to keep hounding you until you know exactly what we want you to do.
Right.
Listen, write down that time, write down those numbers wherever you see them. That's how we connect with you.
Yeah, I like how like I can be listening to a song and I'll crank it up because I'm like, I really like this song, and then a few minutes later I'll flip channels and the song will come on again, and I'm like, nah, move on. And I'm like, I really do like that song, but and sometimes I'll go, well, I just heard it, so I don't want to hear it again. But other times I'm like, I don't know, was it just for that moment that I was like really into the song and it had a purpose, and then the next time I
Always.
heard it, message was delivered, so I lost interest in the song and moved on. And one of the things that my parents always thought that was kind of funny about me was I would grow up and I would naturally go to like either 80s music or the golden oldies, like the 60s, 50s. I'm like, oh man, you put those on and I would be entertained and just sitting there enjoying the songs. But it's like, yeah, nowadays it's like, yeah, every once in a while I like to put on the 60s, and my parents are like, why do you have an affinity to the 60s? You weren't even around yet. I was like, I know, I just do.
Probably reminded you of past lives. Yeah, like I would connect that with I would listen to these things. My father had huge collections of, vinyl and when he left when I was 17, so it was a really sad time. It was close to Christmas time. So I would find that music somewhere or buy the vinyl or whatever, just to remember those feelings, the
Yeah.
feeling and the connectedness that we had because we were so close. Yeah.
What's kind of funny about that is like my mom passed in April, and being metaphysical, I mourn the physicality, but I still talk with her and everything. And I was looking at Amazon and I was like going through my wish list because I was like, well, I'm going to order a book. And I'm the type of person, I'm like, if I order one thing, I'm going to, scan through the list that I have and make the order worthwhile, not just
Exactly.
one thing here, one thing there. And I saw that I had earmarked a movie that we liked on Hallmark. And we listened to it because of one song at the very end of the movie. It was like the whole point of the movie. And it was kind of comical as it's been in there for like 4 years, this movie. And I looked at it and I saw it and I was like, put it in the cart. And I got it. And I'm like, I have it set on my shelf. And I'm like, this Christmas, whether it's on TV or not, I'm watching that movie.
That's it.
And so it's like, and my mom would always say to me, you buy all these movies and, do you really watch them? I'm like, yeah, I do actually. I will find myself going like, I need to laugh. Well, I'll go find a comedy that I have and put it in, and I'll be laughing for a while watching this. And I'm like, cool. And when I find it on TV, I'm like, I'll record it on TV, even if I have the DVD and watch, but it was interesting. And I always would have like sci-fi space movies.
Oh, me too.
And one of my guides goes, and I said, I find it interesting that if you ask me genre, I can't say this is my genre, but I have movies about it, but not all of them. Some of them I just don't. And they go, well, the movies and the TV shows that you watch and you go back and watch is because those are your story.
Definitely.
Now, the stuff that you see and you don't go back and watch, yeah, that's entertainment for you. And I'm like, interesting. And I went back and now it's like I'm starting to piece things together and I'm like, oh my God, I now understand what they were talking about. And I'm understanding these shows much different than I did when I first watched them.
Right. You're interpreting it a little bit different, a different perspective.
Yeah.
Exactly it. The universe is always sending you signals. They might repeat something, a few times until you understand, hey, it's for you.
Yeah.
Listen.
And and one of my favorites was I would watch this one sci-fi show in the 70s, and it was about this race of humans that were living in deep space, and there were 12 colonies, and all the colonies are kind of named after our zodiac. And I was like, I thought, okay, that's kind of cool. And it kind of glanced over me when I first watched it, what the mission of the show was. Well, then I was talking with someone and they're like, yeah, there's all these cultures and, it's like there's 12 of these, 12 of these. And I'm like, there was a show that I watched that had 12 in it. And what was that? And then I was like, well, there's the Knights of the Round Table. There's 12. And I was like, and there was something, and it's like I started, and then I turned on and I saw it on TV and it goes, where are the 12 colonies? And I was like, that's the show. And the 13th colony they were looking for that was lost was Earth. And I thought, how ironic is it? We are, isolated ourselves from the galactic, and here the galactic isolated themselves from us. And they're like, now we got to find where, and they just happened to find on this trek going into deep space little clues that found their way to Earth. And I'm like, what are that had to be divinely guided because there is no way you could just say we're gonna head on this coordinate plane and we're gonna find Earth in like 100 years or so, but this is where it is. It's like, how would you even begin such a journey?
Yeah, and weren't there scientists were sending out radio signs too, right?
Right?
Like radio um, messages and things that they've sent out there to space. So they were already here for thousands of years, buried in underground in the water and volcanoes and ridges, mountains, and they've been around for a long, long time. And you'll see them all depicted in different paintings, and
Yeah.
people have seen them, but they don't want to talk about it, and they
I,
won't even talk about the government.
no, I know, and I was talking with this company that my parents used for cremation, and they will send for like $13,000 ashes into deep space in a container.
I've
And I
heard of
was laughing with the guy who's the director of the facility, and or one of them, and I said, it's I can't help but laugh right now and thinking if a UFO was to come towards Earth and a lot of people got cremated and were put into space and go, okay, um, pilot, we need to change course because there seems to be a lot of traffic on the highway towards the planet, and it's all these cremated people just floating by, being like, what they must think when they go, what are these small little containers that just seem to be aimlessly flying?
lines
What
up with the other debris over around Saturn.
it's like,
They're doing for the ocean too now. And you can even do it, put it into a book, and it turns into a tree. There's so many different
really?
companies now out there. Yeah, I've seen that. That sounds interesting because I love to read
Yeah.
books. So that'd be cool.
Yeah. Although that would be kind of creepy if you think about it being like someone who's in psychometry or one of the Claires and you pick up a book to read it and you're like, why am I starting to get this person's life story?
Right?
Everything that
That'd
happened
be
to them.
cool.
What is this? And be like, doesn't even relate to this book. And it's like, oh, this is so and so and a book form. Okay.
Cool. Yeah. It's like it's got part of their essence. Same thing. Yeah. I was just thinking about when you have a house and you grow up in this house, and then you end up selling the house and you leave. If ever you come back to that house at some point, like the house remembers you, it has a piece of your essence within the walls, within the home. The energy of the house doesn't change. You're still there. It has that same kind of connection. We all connect as one in the end. We are all
Right.
one. And everything that you've ever touched in your life, it all has that piece of you, proving that we are all one, you know,
Yeah. And
direct connect.
it also brings up like deja vu, because we walk into places and and now I start to wonder, is deja vu like one of the Claires activating? Because you walk in, like I've walked into
Premonitions.
someone's house
Premonitions, for sure.
and I was like, hey, can I get a glass of water? And she's like, well, yeah, let me go get it. I was like, no need. I know where it is. And she's like, how
Mm.
do you know where it is? I'm like, I don't know, but I know it's the glasses are in this cabinet. Your silverware's in this drawer. And she would open the drawer and I was right. And she's like, how do you know this? This is your first time being here. I'm like, I have no idea.
It's your gift. You know
But
that stuff.
it, yeah, I was like, that was like deja vu, but it didn't feel like a deja vu kind of feel.
It's just, yeah, it's definitely, yeah, because with clairvoyance and remote viewing, you can see past, present, and future. You've already been in that house a million times in your mind, so it remembers, you
Yeah.
know.
I've thought about that if that was like a memory coming back and being like, but then I was like, is this a memory of, am I going to live in this house in the future or in the past? did I live in this house?
You've already been there most of the time. You're getting those flashbacks, the memories. Yeah.
So I'm also curious a little bit with you and, having like paranormal encounters, having all these clairs. What is it like for you to, like, if you go out on a walk or like walk through a mall or walk through a park, do you like start picking up on everybody going by, or are you able to kind of say, hey, this is not the time for this, and kind of in essence, kind of like mute it?
Well, I pick up on people's energies too because being empathic, I know when to stay away from someone. Especially narcissistic people. Their energy is the worst. It's horrible. Um, yeah, but people like us, yeah, with the clairs, with the remote viewing, it's even like I'll be laying down or listening to music, especially I can hear like my favorite band singing, but I actually see them with remote viewing. I see them. I see their mouths moving. I see them singing and dancing or whatever, presenting themselves. And that's what's cool about remote viewing because it's like you could be talking to someone and it's like you have this little television screen on your right side and you see what's going on. So you're able to tell the person if you're doing a reading, especially you can tell them what's going on right now, past, present, future, what happened. You can get a feel of that, what the situation is, and you can let them know what's going on. You can warn them, that can happen anywhere. You could be walking through the mall, you could be just notice something and it's like, hey, I know that this is going to happen or that's going to fall or whatever. Someone's going to run up behind me. Like I'm always expecting something to happen, you know? It's different in the office. The office is like the abyss. You never know what's going to happen, what's going to fly at you, like especially with that door that opened earlier. It just kind of let itself in, which I believe it was my mother, but she hasn't come tap me on the shoulder or anything. She was just checking in, make sure I'm okay, and then she'll go back out.
That
But
was sweet of her. And real quick, I want to ask your opinion on something of the notion of like bilocation. Do you think, like, if you're a remote viewer, do you feel like you could control and bilocate faster and easier than others, or those are two separate set of skills and you're just lucky if you're able to do one or the other?
I believe because I'm an astral traveler that I can do that. Definitely. And lucid dreaming goes into that as well. Um, but when you naturally astral travel, you can go anywhere. You can put yourself in, we're on, we're multi-dimensional beings. You can be at two different places at the same time, which we are. We're on different paradigm, the paradigm shifts, yeah, these different levels of consciousness and different dimensions, and we all we're all there at different points or different versions of ourselves is what it seems like,
Right.
different dimensions. And but I think that with remote viewing and clairvoyance and stuff, we're able to do it a little bit easier. I just think because we do it naturally, like when I lay down, go to sleep, and I astral travel like right away. I'm always in a different place that I've never been before, and I come back and sometimes I write it down, keep note just in case I physically get to see it. But that's my experience with it. I just it's all about, if you can astral travel, if you find yourself doing that. I remember when I first started doing it back when I was a little girl, like I felt like I was going to fall off the bed when your energy, your soul is coming back into the body. And, Yeah, I've had quite a few weird experiences with all of that. Does anybody have any other questions or anything or comments? So I know my battery's about to die out and I don't even have my cord in here. It's in a whole nother room.
Okay, that was just totally bizarre.
What happened?
So there was a flash on the side of my like over here when you first started talking about it, and then I saw your screen go like it was closed, like you left and came right back in.
But I was
And
here
I
all
was
along.
like, okay, so the spirits are doing something, and then all of a suddenly it goes, something went wrong. We can't connect. And I was like, okay, spirit, stop messing with the feed right now, please. So, okay, seems like energies are having fun, and I apologize if anybody is commenting in the chat room. The comments have disappeared, and it's acting like I just came in and everything. And so, please, if you do have a comment or if you have commented while that glitch was going on, please do let me know what your comment was, and we'll see if she comes back. Seems like the spirit world and the energies are saying enough on this topic. Time to get going, and so we'll see. And let's. I'm gonna text her real quick to see if she's gonna be popping back in or if she's having the same issue I have. But so thank you all for watching this episode, staying with us, and I hope that you all enjoyed this conversation, and thank you so much for joining us on this Thursday evening episode. Oh, here she comes in.
I had to go on my phone. I had to run for the I charged this, fully charged my laptop before I went on it. I can't believe that died on me like that.
Yeah.
It usually lasts a long time. Like I can use it for days. That's nuts.
And so I asked everyone because the chat room disappeared. I lost all the chats that they're
Oh
asked
god.
any questions or anything. And Jasmine Silviera on LinkedIn actually is asking, is that what happens when you are dreaming and shake out of your dream like you are actually falling asleep?
Yeah, that's all part of the astral traveling. Yeah, and that is my cousin, by the way.
Oh, well, there you go.
We connected through ancestry DNA.
That
Yep.
is really cool.
Yeah, I've known her for a few months now. I did her palm reading too in a book form. She likes it now. Her son wants it done too. 10-year-old. So
No, that's really cool that, Ancestry is doing that for you guys and you're able to connect after all this time.
I reach out. I can read their energies, so I start messaging people like, or I'll see the like Andromedan signs or starseed signs on their face or something. Usually comes in as like triangles, triangle. like birthmarks, or squares. You can see it on their arms.
We do have another question that came in, but I don't know. Do you have time to answer this question? It is SYL Cola 457 is asking, how can I learn to astral travel?
I've done some posts on that too. Like I said, it starts with lucid dreaming. If they want to reach out to me, I can give you my email and I can,
Okay.
maybe send them some instructions. A lot of times I do send free instructions on different things, you know. Um, Madam Fiera at gmail.com.
Uh, I believe that's in the description, but let me put it on here real quick in the comments just in case. Madam Fiera at gmail.com, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I think she was saying her name is pronounced Sylvia. And she said, "Oh, yes, please." And so here you
Great.
all go. Here is the email address. And let's see. She's she's saying, "Oh, thank you, Miss Fiera."
That's my spiritual name. I don't give out my government name until I know you really well, for
You
other
know,
reasons too, if sometimes if I, go off on a full disclosure kind of thing, I got to watch my back. You know what I mean?
oh yeah. And what's funny about that is I have a friend that I know through her avatar name. And one day I was like on Facebook and I was like, "Oh, I thought I already friended this person because she has a name almost like another person that I know." And so I added it and I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" And she goes, and she actually messaged me and she goes, "How did you find this profile?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she goes, "Oh, you don't know. This is my real profile. You know me in the avatar name, such and such." And I was like, "Oh
Oh.
my God. How did I stumble on your real page?"
Yeah.
And
Must
so,
have,
yeah.
must have been your clairvoyant skills there.
But yeah, but so I want to share a message with you because it seems like Spirit's starting to mess with the
Oh, that's,
connection. So
oh, yeah.
I want to make I want to make sure this gets to you because I was thinking earlier. I was like, as I was saying what was going on and waiting for you to see if you come back on or not. I was like, oh, how do I deliver this message to her now? Because she's not here to see it. But the message that I'd like to share with you is from my heart and the heart of my shows to you. Thank you for what you're doing for humanity. It's seen,
Oh, thank you.
felt, heard, and so appreciated.
That's why I'm here. I'm trying to help everybody as much as I can. I do a lot of my work is for free and I'm retired now, so I have more time to devote myself 24/7. I do what I can. Every time I get a new channeled message, I'm right there on LinkedIn. Sometimes I'll post on Instagram, but they never really took me that seriously over there. I was just treating Instagram a little bit differently. A
Right.
few
And
posts here and there, but
I'm kind of surprised by LinkedIn because it's got this persona of being like professional
it is.
career building website. And then it's like you go on there and there's like mediums and psychics and channelers and all kinds of energy workers. And I'm like, I get the energy workers, but I'm surprised LinkedIn wants to, allow this because it's kind of still a little bit on the fringe. And it's like, I'm kind of impressed sometimes the kind of profiles and some of the material that comes through. And I post these shows on LinkedIn, and I wait every day, every like the next day after I do some really controversial shows, just waiting for LinkedIn to say, "Hey, you've broken our community standards with this
Oh,
episode. You're no longer allowed." But they always allow, and it's like kind of surprising to me.
we're networking. That's what it
Yeah.
is. Oh, we're connecting more people also into LinkedIn. I know I'm constantly talking about it. I think it's the best thing ever, the best platform because they take us seriously.
No, I
There's so
know,
many
and
like-minded people here.
yeah, because like Facebook, if I have to limit how I respond to people, because if I send out, like, if I come across 6 profiles and I'm like, yeah, I'd like to connect, you would think that's okay. It's a networking website, right? But if I find a seventh one and I'm like, oh, hey, I didn't see this one earlier. Yeah, I'd really like to have this on. No, you can't add this person because you've used this too much and it's keep you from abusing our system. And I'm like, what? And like the first week I was on Facebook, when I on my first profile, I got put in Facebook jail for sending too many friend requests. And I was like,
Oh,
isn't this kind of what you're about, is networking and making friends? And now I'm in jail because I was networking and trying to make friends. But yeah,
yeah,
it was a week where I couldn't send any requests or respond to
that
people
that was weird.
because they were like, you abused the system. And I was like, I used your system.
Or
I
you said
wasn't
too much.
abusing it. Yeah, I was like, I didn't realize. And so now I get like restricted, like for sometimes 24 hours because I added too many people or too many comments. And I had to private message 2 people because I went to say thank you for them saying happy birthday to me. And Facebook took down my thank you comment to them and said, you're spamming these people. I'm
Oh
like,
my
how
God.
is saying thank you a spam? So yeah, I've learned to. It's like I may get 30 comments about something to a post, and I'll respond to like 10, and then the next day I'll go to the next 10, and the next day the next 10, and it's like, and if more come in, I'm like, okay, I can't respond to everybody because I don't want it to start getting called as spam because I'm responding to you all as soon as you message me. So, yeah. So,
I didn't
to
even
be
realize.
honest, I know I have a feeling though it's because this is my second profile that they're watching and they don't like when I'm posting, so they're trying to make it more difficult.
Censorship, yeah.
Yeah. They're like not outwardly doing it, they're like underhandedly doing it by going, well, he left because he just said it was too hard to use and we don't know why. It's like, oh no, I'm not giving you that satisfaction. I'm like, I will leave when you deactivate my profile.
Sounds like me in TikTok when I got banned. You post the wrong thing. You can't post yourself working out like it's almost like a half dressed, Can't wear like a sports bra and like sweatpants. Like you can't have no skin showing. They ban you.
Not anymore.
But here on LinkedIn, it's all fine. Like TikTok, no.
Oh
They
no,
banned me.
TikTok. I see videos
Go
all the
ahead.
time of women working out with or guys working out and they're in their little gym suits
Really? Hmm.
and it's like it'll be like a small clip of one person and then it'll be another clip of another person and another clip of another person all in one video, and that's probably how they're getting away with it. It's not one person for the whole time, it's a series of people. And it's, yeah, and I will agree it is unreal sometimes what you have to go through. And like, I can post reels, but then like the next day it'll say like, nope, we can't upload this reel. I'm like, I've been uploading this reel for like a month now.
Ah,
Nothing's different. And trying to get professional monetize mode, they'll be like, well, you got to post a reel once this week. And I'm like, well, I can't because you won't allow me to. So, you know, I don't know what you want me to do with that. So, oh well. And now I can't, now they've made it to where I can't even see what I'm supposed to do in a week for
oh
being
no.
monetized and stuff. They're like, you have done 0% of what you're supposed to do this week. I'm like,
Oh my God.
well, that's because I can only see 0% of what I'm supposed to do right now. It used to be like 30 posts, and I'm like, okay, I have a week to make 30 posts. I can do that.
Is it like controlled
But,
by AI or anything?
oh yeah,
Like an automatic Autobots? Like,
Meta controls Facebook now, and they control Instagram
oh,
and
okay.
WhatsApp, and so yeah. But yeah, and it actually drove me to make a website so that, because I communicate mainly through Facebook for shows. And so my guests are mainly on Facebook. So I'm like, God, if my Facebook account goes down, it's like I go into a little panic mode because I'm like, nobody knows that the shows are still on or not. And so every once in a while, I'll post a comment that says, hey, here's my website, and if you're a guest and you want to see if the shows, are still going, check the website because I have the calendar of episodes. I have
Hmm.
the the shows, if they're active right now or not. And so I'm like, yeah, really, it's like I'm like coming up with ways of keeping it active when I can't always be active in the normal ways. And it's a headache trying to find websites for some of the guests and being like, do they have email? Do they have alternate communication besides Facebook? Please tell me they do.
Yeah, I tore down my website like twice. You get all the views, but sometimes they're just not calling you, and it's like, what the heck's going on? What did I do wrong? It's like, oh, man, I got to start all over again, or hop on someone else's, like findmagicpeople.com. I was on that for a little bit, and I wasn't getting anyone calling or whatever. So I was thinking maybe my prices are too high or something, because that's when I had started charging a few years ago. And it's like, I don't know, maybe it's just not none of that. Maybe I just have to go and talk. Just
Yeah,
speak to people and just like, hey, I'll give you a discount. Anyway.
yeah,
Oh yeah, they're freaking
no,
out over here. They're doing stuff on my phone. It's like, that's it. That's it. You've had enough. You said enough.
yeah. Well, we actually are at almost an hour and 45 minutes, and I'm
Wow.
like, wow.
Oh, holy moly. What are you doing to my phone? Okay.
Well,
They're
thank you for
going
coming
nuts.
on, and
Oh,
I'm
thank
so
you for
glad
having
that we met on LinkedIn and
me. Yeah.
through. And
Thank
for
you so
some of
much.
you also who may be watching, we met on LinkedIn, and we also, I think around the same time, met on 5D Healerverse. So shout out to Trish and her group, and to
Hi,
LinkedIn.
sister. I love her. She's awesome.
She is. She is like so busy. There are days where I will turn on and see all that she's doing and be like, God, my life is just being wasted right now compared to what she's doing. I'm like hardly doing anything. It feels like compared to her, and I'm like, yeah, I gotta stop doing that. She's on her mission. I'm on mine. Mine just seems to be a little easier than hers.
I guess depends on what you're working on. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, she's a busy little bee, and more power to her. She is like always somewhere doing something, it seems like.
It's nice. Yeah, you get to travel around and live out of your backpack or
Yeah.
suitcase. Yeah, she's everywhere. That's awesome. I wish I could do it. I wish I had the funds to do that now. Maybe eventually at some point.
I thought about that, but then I was like, it's like the fame. When people are like, I want to be famous, it's like, have you talked to a famous person? Because I think if you do that, you'll change your story because it's like famous people, they're always having somebody watching them. They're always like their whole life is being scrutinized now. And
Yeah,
it's like,
paparazzi.
you really want that? And it's like, well, no. I'm like, yeah, so don't go the fame route then.
Yeah, I am related to someone famous too. But yeah, we don't really communicate too much, and because she's always on the go, always doing something. So
Yeah, and I kind of like having privacy, and I don't need my whole life put up on
splattered out there.
screen or
Definitely.
and so yeah. So well, and on that note, do you have any upcoming projects or books or anything that you're working on?
I am working on my book, my life story from spiritually awakening at 5 years old. Convos with Madar, a starseed memoir. That's what I'm calling it. So I got to get to writing a little bit faster and using that word to text mode.
Oh
You can
yeah.
use. That's what's great with AI, where you can like read out everything you've written, and then it'll get saved in there, so you can just basically copy and paste and put it into Google Docs. That would be a lot easier. It has a word count in it and everything. You only need 40,000 words for a novel, you know? That's
Yeah, I know.
all.
What I do actually with my books is I use Word because if you self-publish through Amazon, they prefer Word document or PDF. And so I'm like, okay, so and I know the book is going to be 9 by 6 or 6 by 9, however those margins are for the books. So I
Yeah.
preset the Word document to that size. So then I'll just type into it everything that I'm thinking about or wanting to put in the book. And then it's like, I know from the first book that I published, if I want a hard copy, I need 80 pages. Paperback is like 24 pages, and ebook, I think, is whatever, pretty much whatever you want. They don't care on the ebook side of it, but it's like, yeah. And so I do that to kind of set my mindset. So I'm like, okay, this is a book. This is how this is going to work. And I've never been able to get the page numbering to work because it always wants to do the title page as page one. I'm like, that's not page one. Page one is the first chapter, but it will. And so this book that I'm working on right now, I'm like, I'm just doing the chapters, and then I'm gonna upload and probably put into a new Word doc and have the cover and everything on it, and see if it'll maintain that page number. If it alters it, I'll be like, oh, I can't do page numbering. But yeah, because people ask me like, "Hey, what page is this on?" I'm like, I don't know. it's it's in this chapter. It was in this part of the book. It's, I think, towards the middle. I'll because it's not easy to write a book actually, as it
No,
seems.
not at all. Except for children's books. You only need like 120 words.
Yeah, but a
I
lot
draw
of
my own.
pictures.
I like drawing my own illustrations too. I wrote a book, Nana's Angel in the Sky, but I haven't published it yet. So I'm thinking of self-publishing. The fees aren't
So
as high.
Well, actually, there is no fees on Amazon, but the reason I went with self-publishing, actually, to be honest, is I didn't want a publishing company to read it and be like, okay, this editor is going to edit your material and make it sellable. And I'm like, well, that sounds all nice and dandy, but that editor doesn't know me. And so this is my story.
You could do it yourself. Yeah.
So I was like, I'd rather do it myself and get it published than somebody who starts chopping up the book and taking out parts. And I'm like, no, that part has to stay in because that's the key to this entire part.
That's right. That's
And
your energy put in there. You know
yeah,
what you want that book to reflect. That is a reflection of yourself, that
yeah.
you're sharing. And it just has to be. Uh,
Yeah. I was blessed that I found a friend who edited my first four books, and she did the illustrations for them, and she knew me from watching shows, so she knew what I was talking about and what I was working around. So it's like, yeah, she wasn't tearing it up and like losing parts. It was more just making it sound more fluid. And then my mom did one of the books, and I was like, okay, yeah, that was cool. And she for sure would not chop up my story because she lived it too. And she was like, yep, gotta leave this in, gotta leave this in.
yeah, because someday one of your books can become someone's survival manual. That's what
I
I've tried
know.
to do with my book. I just want them to understand the different things that can come at you, that can happen. You're not expecting it. I want to warn people. That's usually what I do with readings too. It's always the warnings that come up. I do the remote viewing first. I go into a trance and I do that and I let them know what's going on right now. The situation now. Is that what you were asking me about? That's it. That's your answer right there, kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
oh,
Well, thank you, and thank you for coming on and sharing, and
thank
your
you.
story and trusting me to be a podcast to come on because I know not all podcast hosts are the same, and so thank you for trusting me and coming on.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Lots of fun,
Yeah,
always.
and
Oh,
we'll have
just
to
send
have
me
you back on.
emails. I'll be here.
We'll have to have you back on again.
I'd love that. That'd be great.
Well, and thank you to everyone in the chat room. And again, apologies if I missed someone's comment or question because of the glitch that we had. Not my fault, I promise. I didn't do it on purpose.
No, they're just very playful in here in this room. Oh my God.
But do follow, if you have LinkedIn, do follow Madam Fiera on LinkedIn. She does post a lot of great material on there.
All
And
channeled messages.
I'm on there as well with
Yeah.
shows and promoting shows, and so that's mainly what I do on there. But do like, subscribe, and follow along with the shows, so because you never know, when we're going to be popping up again. And so, with that, I'm going to say goodnight to everyone. Have a wonderful week, and before I do that, I had to line up where the outro was because I was like, oh yeah, it's not set up like it was before because I had to reopen the program. So got it all set up now. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Peace, love, and light.
Yes.
Love you all. Blessed be.
Good night, everyone.
Night.